Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. This week, Angola's push for mediation for DRC's conflict looks to have paid off. Luanda says that Kinshasa has agreed to meet Rwanda-backed M23 rebels for direct talks on the 18th. Also, the push me pull me over South Africa's budget sees it passed just last month. The announcement was cancelled after the Democratic Alliance, the biggest coalition party of the ANC, rejected a 2 percentage point VAT hike that was shaved down just 0.5% for this year. And our team has been travelling through Sudan, speaking to communities about the effects of the conflict from within. They send us a latest report from Omdurman, the twin city, the capital, Khartoum. But first, Angola says that it has convinced all combatants in DR Congo's conflict to come to the table on March 18th for direct peace talks. Luanda's been trying to mediate a ceasefire as M23 rebels, backed by Rwanda, have advanced through eastern DRC this year. Our correspondent tells us more.
The announcement came as a shock. Angola has said it will facilitate direct talks between M23 rebels in eastern Congo and the Congolese government. The M23 rebel group is led by Congolese Tutsis and it's supported by Rwanda with troops and weapons. Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi has for years ruled out direct talks with the group. But since January, the rebels have captured eastern Congo's two largest cities, Goma and Bukavu. It's not clear to what extent the Congolese government agrees with Angola's bid to initiate talks. A government spokeswoman said the government had simply taken note of the initiative. Numerous other peace initiatives have failed over the years, including direct talks between Congo and Rwanda, which collapsed in December.
It's an important point that opens up the prospects for the negotiations. Since the resolutions, we haven't seen any movement. Now we have a perspective that can even freeze the front and allow us to approach the negotiations more calmly. This turnaround takes us back to 15th of December when the previous talks failed. Unfortunately, today M23 is back with a better hand because they're going to negotiate from a position of strength, whereas on the 15th of December we could have achieved the same result with less damage and less breakage.
Congo's government has been under increasing pressure to talk to the M23. This pressure has been both domestic and foreign. Congolese opposition politicians have argued that there is now no choice but to sit at the negotiating table. There have been some international sanctions on Rwanda for its support for the M23, but so far this international response hasn't changed much on the ground.
Emmett Livingston there for us in Kinshasa. Police in Somalia say that at least 10 people, including al-Shabaab militants, were killed in a day-long hotel siege. The extremists holed up in the Cairo hotel in the central city of Beledweyne on Tuesday. After setting off a car bomb, gunmen entered as regional clan leaders from Hiran met in the hotel. Security forces reportedly ended the siege. Estimates of the death toll continue to vary. Meanwhile, the push me, pull me over South Africa's budget saw it pass on Tuesday just. Last month, the announcement was cancelled after the Democratic Alliance, the biggest coalition partner of the ANC, rejected a 2 percentage point VAT hike. Now, that was shaved down to just 0.5% for this year. Although the DA and unions are still very much opposed to any increase to VAT, the passage of the budget reflects how the country's national unity government is working through some of its challenges on consensus. Tom Canetti has more.
Now, this budget standoff has been regarded as the biggest test yet for the GNU, but it's also being perceived as some sort of sign of the possibility to cooperate in this multi-party governance. In the original budget proposal, which was cancelled in February, the Finance Minister proposed a 2% increase in VAT, the goods and services tax, which the DA strongly opposed. And today he's come back and said rather he's proposing a 0.5% increase this year and another half, if necessary, next year. Now, the DA say they still oppose any increase in VAT, but it does show this, the possibility to cooperate between these two parties which have traditionally held very opposing views. Now, that can't be said for the trade union associations here in Cape Town, who have said that any increase in a tax like VAT, which could affect the poor, is unacceptable.
these people, they are going to suffer more because the little that they have, it is for them to eat. Because the more the tax is increasing, it is more the poorest people suffer more. It is more, they even dig more hole to press them down.
The finance minister says that his budget does look out for the working class, and he's allocated about 1 trillion rand over the next 3 years in public infrastructure spending, including water and sanitation and to public transport. Now it's up to Parliament to debate and vote on the budget in the next coming days.
Tom Canetti there in Cape Town. Now, East Africa's regional bloc says that it is worried that a flare-up in tensions in South Sudan's pushing the country closer back towards war. IGAD held a meeting on Wednesday looking at ways to calm recent clashes in Upper Nile State that risk destabilising a fragile 2018 peace deal underpinning South Sudan's coalition government. That agreement ended 5 years of brutal civil war in the world's youngest country. Our regional correspondent Olivia Bizo breaks it down for us.
This IGAD summit took place at a critical time for South Sudan, right after a series of violent clashes rocked the northeast. These incidents left many dead, including a government commander, and raised fears that the fragile peace that was established during the 2018 peace agreement could break down. After their meeting on Wednesday, the regional bloc said that the objective was to de-escalate tensions, which is especially important as other conflicts continue to unfold in the region.
South Sudan is a member of IGAD, so it matters. It means that other members care about one of their members. It's important to urge the South Sudanese leaders to come back to the negotiating table and sort out the differences through dialogue and diplomacy. So I think the IGAD member states have done a very great job. This is a very positive step forward.
Tensions between President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar erupted into an incredibly violent civil war in 2013. Peace returned in 2018 after this peace agreement was signed, but challenges continue. That peace deal was supposed to see the armies of the two warring factions unite under a single unit, the writing of a constitution and the preparation for general elections. But 7 years later, none of those reforms have been implemented.
African unions warned that the parallel government set up by the Sudanese RSF paramilitary on one side of the country's civil war risks partition. Since fighting broke out between the army and RSF in 2023, thousands have been killed. Our team's been travelling through the country looking at the effects of the conflict from within. They sent us this latest report from Omdurman.
How much does he weigh?
Mahmoud is 6 months old. He should be twice his current weight.
Has he always been like this? He's showing all the signs of malnutrition, severe diarrhea, high fever. We need to hospitalize him to start treatment.
Every day, new children arrive at this hospital. In the Khartoum region, many families are facing the same struggles.
We were looted. We have nothing left. His father worked at the market. He has nothing now. And I have 4 other children.
Since the war began, around 1,000 children have been treated here. Among the most severe cases is Rimes. She's 3 years old and weighs only 9 kilos. Malnutrition and pneumonia have worsened her condition.
Her health is improving, despite her low weight. She's starting to gain some back. The treatment initially made her even thinner, but now she's doing much better.
Families caught in the conflict often lose their jobs as markets have closed.
We don't have meat, the meals aren't nutritious, and everyone is getting very thin and tired.
It's a dire situation, but things are slowly improving. The army's advance towards Khartoum has at least improved access to healthcare.
Families from areas controlled by the RSF have difficulty reaching us. It can take them days, sometimes 24 hours at best.
Elsewhere in the country, many still live in places nearly impossible for doctors to reach. The UN warns that nearly 4 million children under 5 will suffer from malnutrition in Sudan in 2025.
Well, former Cameroon football star Samuel Eto'o has joined the executive committee of the Confederation of African Football. The ex-Barcelona forward was the only Central African candidate. And at Wednesday's meeting in Cairo, the continent's top football officials also confirmed that South Africa's Patrice Motsepe would stay on for a second term as CAF president. Well, finally, we get to head to Nigeria, where one woman has knitted together her passion and vision to create a thriving business. Nakudo kept pulling at the threads of her love for crochet until a plan of action unraveled before her, as Clarice Fortuné tells us.
It takes some skill, a dose of patience, and a lot of concentration. Ifunanya Nakudo has been crocheting since she was a kid.
When I was in primary school, we play with crochets. We used to make cap, bag, and purse. So that's how I started making these crochets.
And from clothing, the young mother of 3 turned her craft into a lucrative footwear business.
It does not change color. The color will remain the same, no matter how many years you wear it. It doesn't change. And it's washable. You can wash it with water. Nothing will happen to it.
Ifunanya can produce 1 or 2 pairs daily, depending on the design. She has made over 100 pairs for various customers, but she aims to expand her business in the coming years.
My plan for next 10 years is to have my own studio where I train people, where I transfer the knowledge to other people, where I showcase my products, where I also offer employment to other people.
I love this. Oh my God.
For Ifunanya, combining passion to dedication is a secret formula for success.
I don't know about you, but I am certainly impressed. That, though, is all we have time for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again if you can. Till then, take care. Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith.
All the latest in politics, economics and the arts in Africa on France 24. Our journalists are in every region, every country, to report on the emergence of a continent of unparalleled riches. Bringing you Africa's stories on France 24.
Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.